Hey guys, we are live for the second author chat of today with the author of Silver and Shadow, Jennifer Gruenke. And I'm so excited to talk to her about this book because this book was epic. Like seriously, if you have read the Throne of Glass books, this is like right up there with that, but all contained in one book, you know? Can't get much better than that because like seriously, if this was a series and I had to wait for book 2 until sometime this time next year, I would be dying right now. Like seriously dying. So definitely like pick this book up because it was so amazing. Oh my goodness. So guys, you know the drill. If you have a question, you can toss it in the live chat below. If for some reason YouTube isn't permitting you to do that, you can toss it onto social media and I will find it. Just make sure to tag me or DM me directly. So Jennifer, how does it feel to be a debut author?
It's pretty amazing, very surreal, and I keep saying I think it's because the book was pushed back so far. It was originally supposed to come out May 26th, 2020, and
Okay.
got a pushback of 9 months now to February because of the pandemic. You know, May was kind of when things were really shut down.
Right.
So my publisher decided that to give the book its best chance at success, we would push it back to when things were kind of more, nothing's back to normal now, but people are more used to the normal.
Right.
So we pushed it back to now. And it feels really, really weird for the book to be out because, I was ready for it to come out in May and I was all prepared. We'd done all the promotion for it and then it just didn't come out. So now I'm kind of like, is it really out in the world? Are you sure? Like, I'm not going to wake up tomorrow to like, this is a big practical joke. So it's very surreal. I haven't like quite grasped my brain around it.
I've been watching all your stuff on Instagram. It's like, I found my book at the bookstore. It's here. It's like
It's
those
very
are
weird.
awesome.
Yeah,
Right.
it was very exciting, but very strange.
Paul, it was so good. My goodness. Seriously.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
so of course, introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, how everything that of course that you're writing and your journey to becoming an author.
Yeah, so Of Silver and Shadow it's my first novel, my debut novel. It is the second book that I ever finished, start to finish. I've been writing since I was really young. I think like a lot of authors, since I was in the seventh grade was the first time I ever attempted to write a book. Of course, I never finished it. I never finished anything until my early 20s, when I finished my very first book. This came after that, I get this question a lot, so it was inspired by the very first book that I ever finished. Once I finished that book, it was this like sci-fi, weird, dystopian thing that was never going to go anywhere. It was a big old mess. And so I kind of thought to myself, what would this story look like in a fantasy world? So that's where Of Silver and Shadow started. It's developed a lot since then, and you would never recognize that first book in this story now, but that was kind of the beginnings of it. And I'm originally from California, Northern California. I went to school at UC Santa Barbara, and now I live in Charlotte, North Carolina with my cat.
It's like don't forget the cat.
Yeah, it's very important.
Always
She
include the
would
cat.
she would be very mad if I didn't say anything. Her name is Mochi.
Oh. See. So how in the world did you keep all your characters and the story straight? Because you have like characters over here and characters over here, and these people know this information, but these people know this information, and then you have like the prince over here in the pits and the fighting pits and stuff. It's like you've got all these characters all over the place. How did you not lose who knew what and where everybody was going?
So I think that it's helpful that they live in different parts of the city. As weird as that sounds, they're in very, very distinct areas. We have Ren down in the south in like the slums, and then we have Derek in the north in like the fancy part of town where all the mansions are. And then we have Kellen, who he technically lives at the castle, but we don't see him there very often. And then we have Adley in the castle. And their stories do collide, but they're all very separate in what they're doing. So it was actually pretty easy to jump to, okay, we've got Derek at his mansion doing this stuff for rebellion. And then we have Ren down in her compound, doing her own nefarious deeds. And then we have Adley in the castle. So it was kind of like in my brain jumping from one part of the city to the next. And then, of course, like you said, they are all keeping secrets from each other. So that was just, I think at certain points, characters did end up knowing information that they weren't supposed to. And then when I was editing, I was like, wait, this person wouldn't know this yet. Like, they haven't been told this, so I would have to edit and go back, or they would like have thought processes that like wouldn't make any sense because they didn't have this context. So that definitely did happen, and that is what editing is for, and that's what editors are for. So there was definitely a lot of mess there to clean up too when I was finished with it.
Man, I would end up having to have like float charts everywhere.
Yeah, like that what is that gif or that meme of the guy from I think is it from It's Always Sunny, where he has like the map on the wall and he's like, and like he looks kind of crazy like pointing at the map. That's sort of what it was like in my brain.
Sorry. It's like,
Oh, it's okay.
my phone's going off. What do people want? All right, so the magic system in this, it feels very simple but also complicated, and I really love the whole concept of silver. How did you come up with your magical system?
So silver came from a trip that I took. Oh, there's my cattail.
It's like, whoa, what's that?
She had to be in the video. A trip that I took to go see the Avengers. No, not the Avengers. It was Captain America: Civil War. Went to go see it. It was the Scarlet Witch. It's based purely off of the visuals of her, not what she can actually do. But I was kind of at the beginning of writing the book, and I originally had planned for the magic system to be based around illusion. So Ren could do things, she could cheat at cards by manipulating the faces of the cards and like things like that, which was really cool in theory. But then when I tried to write it, just for some reason, and I couldn't even say why, it really wasn't working. So I was kind of stuck on what I wanted to do. I went to see that movie, and I just thought her magic, the Scarlet Witch's or her powers were so cool. I was like, that red, like glowy, like her moving her hands, like that's just so cool. So I was like, what if my magic looked like this? It was purely based on the visual of it. It's like, what if it looked like this? I'm gonna make it silver and like kind of look like you're manipulating. It's not metal, but kind of look like you're manipulating metal. And that's where it started. And then the rules to it kind of came afterwards as I was exploring it more. There is a lot more to it than is in the book, that because Ren doesn't really know anything about it. Everything that she has learned about magic, she's learned on her own, because the Silver Purge happened and all of the books on magic were burned. So she doesn't have access to any information. Nobody knows anything. So she's kind of just like, oh, I can do these things with my hands. Well, I guess I'm going to do this now. So I think that's where the simplicity comes from too, because she only knows so much as she's experienced. But there is a lot more to it that I know that didn't make it onto the page.
I just love the contrast between it, because since we, have the overall view of everything that's going on in this world, we see the king using the same power, and he's like completely murdering people with this. And then she's over here, just picking locks and all this. And it's like, man, this got like really dark to really kind of light. And it is just so insanely good.
Yeah, you can like really use it for good or for evil, as they say, I mean, Ren uses it a little bit in a bad way too, but not anything
as bad
as the king.
So how do you go about creating your characters?
Characters for me is my favorite part of writing. I love character work. And I really consider it, I've always thought of it as exploring them and listening to what they have to tell me. So I create characters simply by writing them. I'll just sit down and kind of do like free flow and figure out what what they're thinking, what their thought process is as something is happening. I like to write out questions on just like a blank document and then answer those questions to myself. So like, I don't know, it's been years since I drafted this thing, so I don't remember what some of the questions were, but things like, what would Ren do in this situation? And then answer it without any pressure of, trying to make it well written. So I would do that a lot. And then as I was drafting, I would put my characters in like stressful situations or in situations where there's high emotion, and then just let whatever came out. So there's like one scene that I talked about a lot because I really, really love it, with Kellen. And Kellen says something that he is not proud of, that he regrets, and he says this to a friend. And in that moment, there's this block of narration that I very, very vividly remember writing, and I could recite most of it right now, because I loved it so much. That really gave me so much insight into Kellen that I had not had up until that moment. So I really just learn about them in the moment as I'm writing.
That's cool. Awesome. Like this book has so many feels. Like I knew there was a part in it where they're in the tunnels after she starts revealing, what she can do, and he's like yelling at her, about how his mother died and stuff, and she's just like, well, I'll add her name to the list, and he's like, what list? And she's like, the list of people that it's her fault that they've died. That, like, I am reading that at like midnight, and I am trying to go to bed then, and I've just got like tears running down my face because that is just so heartbreaking.
Yeah, I remember that, writing that moment too. That's another one that I really remember. That line just came to me in the moment as I was writing too, when she said that. And I really love Ren and love her character for that reason, because when I started writing her, I kind of didn't know where she was going to end up. All I really knew about her was that she had an attitude and she was kind of brash, and she came on really strongly, but I didn't really know, that much about her internal struggles. That was something I discovered as I wrote. And that line was like one of the earlier lines where I was like, holy crap, this girl is so damaged and she's so sad. So it is like, I love it and I hate it because it makes me so sad, but in those moments,
It works
it's like
so well
really
because
great.
it's like in most of the story up to that part, she's this hard ass, she doesn't let anything get to her.
Mm-hmm.
She's fighting in the pits and everything, and dealing cards and all this stuff. And then she just has this full vulnerable moment that just fits so well, and it just makes you love her so much more. You just want to go hop in the book and like, it'll be okay.
Well, thank you very much. That's a huge compliment.
Oh, God. So guys, like seriously, this book has some steam in it. Whoa. Whoa, man. And it is between two characters like you should hate because they're part of the king's children, and they're his fighting force and stuff, and it's like you don't want to hate them, you want to love them, and you want them to be together forever. So how did you choose on what to keep and what to get rid of for all of your steamy parts?
Oh, I actually think everything that I originally wrote Steam-wise made it into the book. It like I think it's a lot about, because I love a good steamy scene as much as the next person, obviously. But I think when you put them in, they have to also serve a purpose to like further your characters. At least for me personally, in my writing, that's what I want. So there has to be like emotions tied to it, and I want people to like learn something about these characters in these like steamy moments. So a lot of times when those are happening, there's also, I'm just like describing the things that are happening and like making it really hot and heavy, but there's also usually like narration from the POV character scattered throughout, where they kind of like realize something about themselves or something about the relationship. So I think that's what makes like hot and heavy scenes so satisfying, is like when when you can kind of like dig into the emotion of the character. So that's what I really love, is just furthering them a little bit in those moments. And I'm trying
Well,
not to
it
like
works.
spoil anything right now
Right.
because I have like
It's
something
so hard.
in my
It's
head,
so
but
hard because it's like, especially that first part, because it comes so soon in the story. And I mean, these are people you're supposed to despise because of who they are, and because they're like the evil people that want to take down the rebellion. But
yeah.
it's like this happens, and then you're just like, oh no.
And I think their romance too is what like really redeems them, because up until that point you're just like, these people are awful, like
Right,
they're out here torturing like poor citizens, and then you find out, you know, that there's a lot more beneath the surface than what you're seeing with that moment. And I think that kind of switches up the narrative a little bit from where you thought it was going
right.
in those moments.
It's so crazy. So the King's Children. Oh my goodness, I love the title because it's always like, oh, it's the King's Army or something like this. I mean, that was just perfect. When I first read it, I was like, wait, what? He's got his children are his warriors? It doesn't sound right. And then they explain what it is, and I was like, oh, okay, that's actually really cool. How did you come up with that concept and make them like so ruthless? I mean, they are like so evil for most of them.
Oh gosh, I don't even honestly, I'm not even sure where, like I couldn't tell you the root of where they came from. I think it was that, so when I was writing this story, I really wanted to show both sides of the rebellion, because usually like in a lot of stories it could have been that typical, like we have our ragtag team of like kiddos who are rising up to overthrow, you know, the evil king, which is part of the story. But I wanted to also flip it around a little bit and see inside the castle and what was going on there, um, and see the opposing force to the rebellion, but also making it somebody like characters you actually kind of root for.
Mhm.
Like you don't know who to root for because obviously you want the
You want to
rebellion to
root for everybody.
succeed, but you also like you're suddenly like, well, this is like this precious like little girl who's just like trying to survive, but she's like opposing the rebellion. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to root for.
Exactly. That is my thoughts. Like exactly right there. Because like it all getting both POVs, I think that it really humanized them and it
Mhm.
makes you care for them even though you shouldn't.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I loved writing Adley for that reason, because she should be an antagonist and she should be a villain, but she's really not. She's like a protagonist in her own right because you want her to succeed and be happy too, but not everybody can succeed.
So what are you working on next?
um, so I want to be vague about it because I have not sold this yet, so there's anything official out there. But I'm working on something that is unrelated to Of Silver and Shadow. Right now, Of Silver and Shadow is a standalone. There aren't any plans for any other books because I get that question a lot. So I'm working on something that's unrelated. It is a fantasy that'll also fit into like the kind of crossover space that Of Silver and Shadow fits in. And that's kind of all I'm going to say about it. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a while before it's ever on shelves, but I think it's the best thing I've ever written. I am so stoked about it. I think it's going to be amazing. It is, I will say that there is a heist, and there is death as a man, and there's a starlit city. And that's all I'm going to say.
Nice. Well, there, look, you have a title right there. The Heist in the Scarlet City.
Perfect. We'll put it on a cover, call it a day.
Right, there you go. So let's see, what books that are coming out this year that you can't wait for?
Ooh, let's see. This year has been such a blur that I'm not even sure exactly everything that's coming out. I'm really excited for Lake's Edge by Lyndall Clapstone. It's a gothic like romance eerie book. It looks pretty incredible. Down Comes the Night by Allison Saft looks amazing. It's also just a kind of like a dark romantic, from what I understand, story. What We Devour was just the cover was just revealed today, and it looks incredible. And it's by Lindsay. I'm forgetting her last name, and I don't want to say it wrong, but What We Devour. That is the title. Yeah, it looks
that
incredible.
title is epic.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that one. The Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo, of course. I could not be excited about that one. Those
you said it was called What They Devour?
What We Devour.
What We Devour. I'm like, I'm not finding anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks really good and like really dark, which obviously I like the dark. Miller, thank you. I was like, I don't want to get it wrong, but I know it's Lindsay.
Well, yeah, interesting.
It looks really good.
Add it to the list.
Come to mind.
And what have you been reading?
I am reading the Mistborn series, the first one, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I picked that one. I know that one's a little older, but I picked it up because I was told there is a heist in it, and so I picked it up for research for the project that I'm currently working on, because writing a heist is really hard. And I am reading The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones.
Different Bone Houses. Oh wait, no, that is Bone Goat.
Oh, the bone what?
Bone Goat. The Bone Goat. I love The Bone Goat.
That one.
Oh no, she's in the Bone Houses. Is that the YA? It's got a skull in the front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bone goat in there.
Oh, I must not have gotten that far. I am like 80 pages in so far. Okay.
The bone goat is the fabulous goat of all the goats.
I will look out for it, because I'm really enjoying that one. Her prose is really lush and beautiful.
That book. So, that is like one of my favorite books.
Okay, good to know. I will keep at it. I've been so busy with all this book stuff that I picked it up like 2 weeks ago, and I've made it not even 80 pages in. So it's been a while, but I'm also reading that one. So I'm juggling those two. And I'm listening to an audiobook, which is called Dating-ish by Penny Reed. And it's a contemporary romance, because I like to listen to those audiobooks because my mind tends to wander while listening to things. So it's easier for me to listen to like contemporary romances and still grasp what's going on. So I listen to a lot of those.
You should write your cat into one of your books.
I think she's demanding it. Like, give me attention. I knew if I locked her out of the room, though, she'd scratch at the door the entire time.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, that's what happens. As soon as you go to do anything, they have to come. They're like kids.
Yeah, she did that the other day. I had a Zoom interview, and you can hear her in the background going like this on the door.
It's like, Mom, let me in. What are you doing?
How dare you lock me out?
Well, that is all of the questions that I have for you today. Guys, definitely pick up a copy of Jennifer's book because it was beyond amazing. It is going on to my favorites list of this year, so definitely check it out. The only thing that makes my heart hurt is that it wasn't in hardback.
I know. I will admit I was a little sad when I found out that we were not going to publish it in hardback. But I do believe that it's going to be in a book box. I don't want to say which one yet because they haven't revealed it, so I don't want to spoil the surprise for them. But it's going to be in a book box, and I think, don't quote me on this, but I think they're doing like an exclusive hardback just for the book box.
Message me what box it is, so
I'll let you know. Yeah, I will let you know.
It's just gonna be in hardback.
I'm gonna buy one for myself because I gotta have one. So.
Oh, those are so epic, and I love hardback books. Me and paperbacks we're not friends. I tend to murder them. And this book is, it's thick. It is so thick.
It's a big boy. I was like, so I thought like because
it's kind of short.
Like it's so much bigger than the arc, which I thought the arc was like a normal size, but no, we got these two.
Right.
It's like quite a bit bigger.
It's short. It's short and fat.
Yeah. Like but it's it is almost 500 pages, so it makes sense why it's looking a little big.
It is a nice thick book to plan your time with. during
Yeah.
COVID. This is
Filled up
definitely an
fill up
escape
an
book.
afternoon.
Yes, it's very good. All right, well, thank you so much for coming on, guys. Thank you for watching. Definitely pick up this book. There is a buy link below in the description because it is totally worth it. This is going to live on my shelves forever, and it was so good. And make
Yay.
sure to join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as Emily King is coming back on the show. It feels like forever since I've talked to her for a new book, Wings of Fury, out published via 47 North, which is Amazon. Definitely come back for that. This is about Sparta, the
Ooh.
golden age of Sparta. So very interesting. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I will catch you guys later. Bye.
Thank you.